Chapter 1. The Untouchable Frequency of the Chosen. In a world where shadows creep in silence and unseen forces lurk in forgotten corners, there exists a sacred few, those marked by divinity, cloaked in light and vibrating on a frequency the darkness cannot penetrate. These are the chosen ones, not chosen by man or institution, but sealed by a force beyond comprehension. Their existence is not coincidental. It is cosmic, deliberate, and protected from the moment they entered this realm. The chosen were wrapped in a veil of divine insulation. Many do not understand this truth, and even fewer dare to believe it. But to those who can see beyond the veil, it is evident no matter how formidable the darkness may seem, it cannot lay a hand upon them. Even the most malevolent entities, the top demons, the ancient tempters, the architects of spiritual chaos, tremble at the boundary where a chosen one begins. Why? Because the chosen operate on a completely different wavelength. This isn't just a poetic metaphor. It is a spiritual reality, grounded in both ancient mysticism and modern energetic principles. Every being emits a frequency, a vibrational essence shaped by their thoughts, emotions, and spiritual alignment. For the average person, these frequencies often fluctuate in response to fear, desire, and doubt. Demonic forces, beings of low vibration, feed upon these emotions like parasites, thriving in the shadows of ignorance and inner turmoil. But the chosen one emits a different signal entirely. Their frequency is attuned to a divine resonance. It's not static, nor is it loud. It's elevated, refined, and incorruptible. It cannot be faked, replicated, or tampered with. This is why demons can't find them. It's as if the chosen are broadcasting on a cosmic radio station that doesn't exist on the demon's dial. Imagine a world where certain souls are invisible to darkness, not because they hide, but because the dark cannot perceive them. That's what it means to walk as a chosen one. This invisibility is not concealment. It's transcendence. The chosen aren't below the radar. They're above the battlefield. Consider the scriptural imagery in Psalm 91. We're told that those who dwell in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. This is not simply metaphor. It's metaphysical. The secret place is the elevated state of consciousness where the frequency of divine protection operates. When a soul ascends into that realm, the darts of the enemy cannot find their target. Demons are predictable. They hunt by scent, by the aroma of fear, the trail of confusion, the vibration of insecurity. But the chosen one is saturated in divine clarity. The dark spirits approach, but they find no resonance, no echo, no invitation. Their powers so effective against the masses become null and void. Their confusion is palpable. To them, the chosen is not just a light in the darkness. It is a wall of soundless thunder, a presence that disrupts their entire architecture of manipulation. And this is the beginning of what makes the chosen truly untouchable. But understand this, it is not merely because they are good or holy by human standards. The protection they carry isn't earned, it's appointed. It's written into their soul's blueprint, etched into their auric field by divine decree before the foundations of the earth. They were seen, named, and set apart. This truth should not inspire arrogance, but awaken responsibility. Because when you know the enemy can't touch you, the question shifts from fear to mission. What were you made to do? Knowing that the darkness cannot reach you. The chosen are not simply survivors of the spiritual war, they are luminous anomalies, divine disruptions to the plans of darkness. And in the next chapter, we will explore the contract and unbreakable covenant that heaven wrote over their lives, a decree no force in hell can override. Chapter 2. The divine contract over your life. Before time took its first breath and the stars were placed in the heavens, there was a scroll, an eternal decree that bore your name. In that sacred scroll, inscribed not with ink but with divine light, was a covenant that no force in existence could ever alter. This is the divine contract. It is not theory, not symbol, it is law. And for the chosen, it is the foundation of their untouchable destiny. In spiritual traditions from both East and West, we find echoes of this sacred agreement. The Judeo-Christian Bible speaks of the Lamb's Book of Life, where names are written before the foundation of the world. In ancient Sumerian and Hermetic traditions, souls are said to descend from divine realms with encoded missions, their lives woven into the fabric of fate by celestial scribes. These aren't mere metaphors, they are reflections of a deeper spiritual infrastructure. To be chosen means you were written into that contract not as a passive figure, but as a key player in the unfolding story of light triumphing over darkness. Demons, those architects of disorder, may plot and strategize, but they cannot edit the text of your destiny. The ink has long since dried, and it was sealed not with wax, but with holy fire. This unchangeable nature of your calling is what renders demonic interference ultimately impotent. They can distract, but they cannot derail. They may attempt to delay, but they cannot deny. Why? Because you are not operating under man-made laws. You are governed by the decree of the highest, and that decree cannot be overturned by any lower force. The ancient mystics called this spiritual arrangement the covenant of radiance, a pact between soul and source, a vow that light made with itself. The contract is not reactive. It doesn't activate when trouble comes. It's not a shield forged in the fire of adversity. It's a map that predates the terrain. Every attack that comes your way is accounted for in the divine itinerary. Not only are the traps seen before they're set, they're transformed into stepping stones that elevate you. You may have noticed that every time the enemy strikes, you rise higher. That's not luck. That's the contract absorbing the attack and converting it into fuel for your mission. The laws of the spiritual realm are not linear. They're alchemical. What was meant for harm is turned to good. What was sent to destroy becomes the very wind beneath your wings. This is why chosen ones must never entertain the illusion that they are victims of circumstance. You are the beneficiary of a sacred design. It is not that you're exempt from suffering. It is that suffering cannot rewrite what was already decreed. Your life is not open to negotiation. There are no loopholes in this covenant. Even demons know this. That's why their strategy often shifts from confrontation to confusion. They want to make you forget that you have a contract. They want to pull you into fear, hoping you'll doubt your protection and step out of alignment. But the moment you remember, the moment you reclaim your spiritual identity, they lose access. You are not merely protected. You are pre-written, and the ink of that writing burns with divine fire. In the next chapter, we'll explore the secret weapon that disarms the darkness more than any ritual or invocation's awareness. Because when the chosen ones become conscious of the game ends. Chapter 3. The Weapon of Awareness. There is a weapon more powerful than the sword and more precise than the flame. It does not burn. It does not pierce, and yet it disarms the most ancient evil. That weapon is awareness. The greatest lie darkness ever told was that it had power over you. But power thrives only in the absence of recognition. Demons, like all manipulators, work through deception. Their success hinges on your ignorance. That is why, for centuries, sacred teachings were hidden not to gatekeep wisdom, but to protect its potency. Because once you see, the illusion shatters. The moment a chosen one becomes aware of the tactics, frequencies, and motives of the adversary, the spell breaks. That awareness doesn't just protect it, dissolves the mechanism of control altogether. This is the unseen war playing out in your mind every day. Fear, confusion, self-doubt, these are not just emotions. They are engineered weapons launched in silence. But once you name the weapon, you strip it of its sting. Dark forces cannot thrive in a mind illuminated by discernment. They feed on those who operate unconsciously, who repeat inherited patterns without questioning them. But the chosen are wired differently. They carry a latent awareness that, once activated, changes everything. This is why the enemy targets consciousness. It clouds the mind with distraction, fogs the soul with anxiety, and saturates the heart with misdirection. But when you become still, when you recognize the origin of these thoughts and say, "This is not mine," you reclaim sovereignty. It's in that moment of recognition that the entire demonic infrastructure collapses. Awareness is not simply the absence of ignorance. It is the presence of divine intelligence. It's spiritual sight. In Eastern mysticism, this is the awakening of the third eye. In Christian theology, it is discernment gifted by the Holy Spirit. In both, it's the sacred faculty that sees beyond the veil. The chosen are not only protected by divine law, they are armed with divine insight. And when the darkness is revealed, it recoils. Imagine a thief caught mid-theft. That moment of exposure is enough to drive him away. So too do demons scatter when the light of your awareness pierces through their illusion. This is why you must guard your perception, purify it, elevate it, because in awareness lies your authority. When you know who you are and what opposes you, you no longer play defense. You walk in dominance. You no longer avoid the shadows, you illuminate them. And in that light, evil has no choice but to flee. In the next chapter, we will unveil a deeper truth that the battle was already over before it began, and you, chosen one, were born into victory. Chapter 4, Born in Victory. You were not created to survive. You were born to overcome. There's a profound difference. Survival suggests struggle, but overcoming speaks of triumph rooted in origin. As a chosen one, you did not enter this world as a candidate for spiritual success. You arrived with the stamp of it already secured. This is a radical truth, that the battle was over before it even began. From the moment your soul was summoned into this dimension, heaven had already written your outcome. It was not a gamble. It was a guarantee. Demonic forces didn't see this at first. They launched their attacks, spun their webs, whispered their lies, but every attempt revealed something unsettling to them. Nothing sticks, like a sword striking air. Every strategy against you cuts through nothing. They set traps, but you walk around them. They sow chaos, but you stand calm. Why? Because your life is not reactive. It is preordained. The Father's will concerning your destiny is not up for debate, even when you feel the weight of spiritual warfare. Know this, you are not fighting to win. You are enforcing a victory already secured. This is why the enemy is frantic. They plan, but they plan in vain. Their blueprints fall apart in your presence. It's not because you are flawless, but because you are fortified. Your essence carries a divine insurance policy. What was sealed in heaven cannot be altered on earth. Your existence is a walking rebuke to demonic ambition. In the mystery schools of the ancients, initiates were told, "The war has already been won, now act like it." This is not a call to arrogance, but to identity. When you know you were born into a story already crowned with victory, you carry yourself differently. You become unshakable. The chosen don't fight for protection, and they radiate it. They don't plead for safety, they embody divine backing. You were not sent here to beg for light. You are the light that dissolves the lie. And so, when demons attempt to challenge your path, remember, the script has already been written. You are not an underdog. You are a victor sent back into time to walk out a victory already accomplished in eternity. In the next chapter, we will explore why demonic forces can't survive in your presence. Because when true authority enters, illegitimate power flees. Chapter 5. The presence of true authority. Authority is not volume. It is not posture. Nor is it presence in the physical sense. True authority is energetic, spiritual, and undeniable. And when a chosen one walks in their ordained authority, the darkness doesn't simply observe, it flees. This is a spiritual law. Illegitimate power cannot exist in the presence of true dominion. Demons don't merely dislike your presence. They are allergic to it. The moment you walk into a space, the atmosphere shifts, not because you said anything, but because of what you carry. To understand this, we must return to first principles. In ancient scripture, we find the origin of authority. Behold, I give you power to tread upon serpents and scorpions, and over all the power of the enemy. Luke 10:19. This was not conditional. This was declarative. Chosen ones are not gradually given authority. They were born in it, sealed with it, and now awakened to it. The darkness can operate where confusion reigns, where identity is uncertain. But when you know who you are, demons have no landing strip. They thrive in rooms of chaos, not temples of conviction. Your authority doesn't just protect you, it disrupts. It confuses their plans, like a frequency too high to withstand. Your presence burns against their schemes. That's why demonic entities often avoid direct confrontation with the awakened chosen. They know better. They whisper to the unawakened, but go silent before the aware. In esoteric circles, this is known as vibrational incompatibility. The divine light within you resonates at such a frequency that lower spirits cannot withstand it. They wither, not because you attack, but because they cannot endure. And here's the key. You don't need to perform. You simply need to be. Authority is not a tool you pick up. It is a mantle you wear by birthright. When you walk into a space, whether silently or boldly, you are broadcasting the resonance of heaven's decree. The chosen one doesn't just represent light. They are a living testimony that darkness has already lost. In the next chapter, we'll explore how your energy, itself pure, unwavering, and fear-free, acts as a divine firewall, repelling the forces that seek to draw near. Chapter 6. The divine firewall of the chosen. In the unseen war that rages beyond the veil, most souls seek shelter. But the chosen, they carry their fortress within. Their energy is not simply protected, it is protection. A divine firewall. Dark entities don't merely hunt for weakness, they hunt for resonance. They seek out those who vibrate with fear, anxiety, and doubt, because these are the frequencies they can access and influence. But the chosen one is built differently. Their core energy is configured in the divine code. This code doesn't permit intrusion. It repels it. Imagine your very being as encrypted, spiritually firewalled against anything that attempts to invade. It's not about hiding from darkness. It's about radiating a frequency it cannot penetrate. And that frequency, it is founded in faith, clarity, and unwavering purpose. When fear knocks, the chosen one doesn't answer, not because they don't feel it, but because they are no longer ruled by it. That internal refusal to bow to chaos is what fortifies their field. This isn't psychological toughness, it's metaphysical resilience. In ancient mystical systems, this was the auric shield, the luminous body surrounding the soul that is strengthened through spiritual alignment. Modern quantum theorists might call it a field of coherent frequency. But no matter the language, the truth remains the chosen walk with a buffer zone of light. This firewall isn't passive, it's reactive. When darkness approaches, doesn't just get blocked, it gets transmuted. Negative energies that might dismantle others are burned, repurposed, or reflected by your field. That's why demons often leave frustrated, unable to find traction, even when adversity comes. The chosen absorb no residue. They face storms without losing clarity. They are not emotionally numb, but spiritually calibrated. The signal of divine peace within them scrambles the noise of the adversary. Like static on a corrupted frequency, darkness loses its grip. Understand, this isn't arrogance, it's alignment. You don't earn this firewall by effort, you receive it by identity. You didn't build it through ego, you were born into it through grace. In the next chapter, we'll uncover the profound truth behind why demons fear the chosen, not because they can't attack, but because they don't understand the game you're playing. Chapter 7, Confounding the Darkness. Demons rely on predictability. Their power is not rooted in strength, it is rooted in patterns. They study cycles, observe reactions, and exploit the predictable behaviors of the unaware. But when a chosen one steps onto the field, the entire algorithm collapses. You are not simply protected, you are confusing. You are a living disruption to centuries-old strategies. What demons expect is fear, panic, and conformity. What they find in you is calm, clarity, and movement that defies their models. This is why the chosen terrify the unseen world. They are untrackable. Like a master chess player among amateurs, your moves are governed not by instinct, but by insight. Divine inspiration, not impulse, guides your choices. This renders the traditional tools of darkness, temptation, distraction, and deception utterly ineffective. Demons plan their attacks based on assumptions, but the chosen's behavior deviates from expectation. While others spiral, you ascend. While most react, you reflect. You don't feed chaos with reaction, you transmute it with presence. In spiritual warfare, this unpredictability is itself a weapon. The enemy's greatest fear is losing control of the narrative. And you, chosen one, are not just off script, you're writing a new story in real time, one they can't follow. This is why they often retreat, not because they are defeated in combat, but because they're outmatched in consciousness. You don't just operate in a higher frequency. You move according to divine timing, guided by intuition and insight that eclipses their shadow-bound strategies. In Kabbalistic teaching, the divine soul operates beyond the realm of the Sitra Akra, the other side of impurity. This is your heritage, a consciousness untouched by lower projections. When you stay anchored in that awareness, your very life becomes a paradox to the adversary. They don't know what to expect. They can't bait you. They can't corner you. And that confounds them more than any exorcism ever could. In the next chapter, we'll explore the deeper reason behind this mystery. Your destiny is tied not just to survival or protection, but to a greater mission that transforms everything it touches. Chapter 8, Your Destiny and the Greater Mission. To be chosen is not merely to be protected, it is to be purposed. Your peace, your power, and your protection all point towards something greater. A divine mission that transcends self. Many people believe their struggles are signs of failure, but for the chosen, they are indicators of assignment. The weight you feel is not punishment, it's preparation. The turbulence around you is not chaos, it's calibration. Because your life is more than a sequence of events. It is a cosmic appointment. The peace you carry in the storm is not the absence of battle. It is the evidence that the war has already acknowledged your victory. Demons can attack, but they cannot explain why their tactics fail. That mystery, it's your mission whispering. In nearly every tradition, Buddhist bodhisattvas, Christian saints, Sufi mystics, those who carry the light, also carry responsibility. Your inner stillness is not accidental, it's strategic. The forces of darkness are not just after your peace, they are threatened by your influence. Muffin. Because one chosen one walking in divine calm can destabilize entire regions of energetic manipulation. You are not here to prove your worth. You are here to remember it, and once remembered, to act upon it. You weren't born to survive, you were born to activate. Every room you enter shifts. Every word you speak realigns reality. This isn't ego, it's essence. Your vibration is a divine tuning fork, calling creation back into harmony. And this is why the enemy fears your clarity. You are an emissary, a spiritual architect, a seed of cosmic order planted in chaotic soil. When others tremble, you anchor. When confusion reigns, you discern. Your very life becomes a ministry without a pulpit. Your mission is not about noise, it's about alignment. It's not about doing more, it's about being. What darkness cannot replicate a soul anchored in divine intent? In the next chapter, we'll explore the hidden reality behind your name, the truth that the unseen realms recognize who you are before you ever speak a word. Chapter 9, Your Name in the Unseen Realms. You were given a name, but not just the one uttered at birth. You carry a sound, a signature frequency, a vibrational code known in dimensions unseen. And in those realms, your name is not whispered, it is revered. Demons do not fear generic titles. They fear identifiers tied to divine purpose. Your name, your true essence, rings like thunder through the corridors of the shadow world. It signals to every watching spirit that you are not ordinary. You are sealed. In ancient scripture, names were more than labels. They were declarations of destiny. Abram became Abraham. Jacob became Israel. Saul became Paul. Why? Because identity is tied to mission. And once the heavens stamp your mission, the darkness reads it loud and clear. When demons gather to strategize, they consider names, and yours it glows, not in red, but in gold. It's a warning, a flare of divine fire across the spiritual sky that says, "Touch not the anointed." Your name has been encoded into the book of destiny. It is known by angels, respected by watchers, and feared by the wicked. When darkness sees it, they don't see letters, so they see lineage. They see backing, they see consequence. Imagine this every time darkness contemplates touching your life. An alarm rings in the spirit. You don't see it, but you feel it. The near misses, the attacks that didn't land. That's not coincidence. It's covenant. The name you carry is a vibration of divine will. It activates shields, summons reinforcements, and shuts down unauthorized access. That's why some people avoid you without knowing why. Your energy speaks before you do. Your name echoes. And when you awaken to the authority of that name, when you walk in the awareness of what you carry, your steps become warfare, and your presence becomes prophecy. In the final chapter, we'll explore the ultimate truth. And the light you carry is not just protection, it is revelation. And in your presence, the shadows don't just flee. They are exposed, dismantled, and undone. Chapter 10. The light that exposes the darkness. The greatest fear of the dark is not being defeated, it is being seen. And you, chosen one, are not merely protected by light, you are the light. A living exposure, a walking revelation. Dark forces don't flee because you shout louder or pray longer. They flee because your very presence invalidates their existence. Where light stands, darkness cannot argue. It can only vanish. This is not about external glow. It is about internal alignment. The chosen one has harmonized their spirit with divine frequency. That harmony vibrates truth And truth is lethal to lies. You don't expose the darkness by pointing fingers. You expose it by being undeniably real. You break spells not by condemning others, but by radiating authenticity. The manipulations of evil depend on confusion. You bring clarity in mystical traditions. This light is called the Shekinah, the indwelling glory. In esotericism, it is the luminous body. But in all systems, its function is the same: to reveal, not to destroy, but to make known, to strip the veil. When a chosen one walks into a room, the energetic climate changes, not because of effort, but because of essence. You shine a spotlight on what hides. Lies shrink, illusions crack, and those operating in shadows find nowhere to conceal themselves. That is why demons fear you. Not just because you cannot be harmed, but because your life makes deception harder for them to sell. You are a disruption to illusion, a cosmic interruption to manipulation. And so, every step you take isn't just protected, it's prophetic. You reveal what needs to be healed. You uncover what was buried. Your authenticity is not just healing balm, it is sacred light surgery. You do not have to war like others. You only have to be fully what you are, because the moment you fully embody your divine self, the false world trembles. You are not here to fit in, you are here to illuminate. And that light, it can't be touched. It cannot be bought, borrowed, or broken, because it wasn't given by man, it was born of the eternal. So rise, shine, walk boldly, not just as a survivor, not even as a warrior, but as the revelation darkness hoped would never wake up. You are the light, you are the rebuke, and you are the divine disruption the world and the enemy never saw coming.